I was just trying to mess with the continuity there, so I had like a different hairstyle every time it cut out. There we go.
Great. So
I'm Andrew Trundle, you're watching NME, and we're here with Biffy Clyro, Simon Neal.
hello, Mr. Trendle. How are you doing, brother?
Pretty good, pretty warm, pretty long-haired.
You're getting there, man. You're almost Biffy style, man. You're almost Biffy style. Get that facial fuzz going, man.
I can't get a tattoo though. Sorry.
Why have you been? Is it off the?
I'm just terrified of the idea of tattoos.
Well, fair enough.
I can't say.
I thought someone else was disallowing you, but if you just don't want a tattoo, that's absolutely fine.
And I'm not taking my shirt off either, but I'll grow my hair, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right, that'll do it. It's good enough for me, man. Good enough.
So whereabouts are you right now?
I have ventured out of the house for the first time, and I'm down in London. We're shooting a music video this week, so I came through the airport. I was paranoid, and actually I felt fine when I did it, so it was quite good to get over that first hurdle. But yeah, I'm sitting in a hotel room all by myself.
Oh, I was hoping you'd be at home. I was going to ask you to present the sheep.
Oh, my blessed sheep. Well, actually, we just got a puppy the other day, so I would have been presenting my puppy to you, I'm afraid.
Oh, what's the puppy's name?
Silky Smooth.
Ah.
And she is silky smooth. But yeah, it's been funny. Like most people, this is literally my first time leaving the house for any extended period of time. As you know, we've been doing interviews from home, doing photo shoots, and actually it's been quite good having all these creative challenges. I've really quite enjoyed it, and the limitations of what we can do as a band, you know, it's like it's opened up all these other opportunities and things. So just trying to make the best out of a bad situation, as we all are.
For those not aware, present the sheep isn't some kind of sick euphemism. Go look at the Biffy Clyro's excellent NME Big Read cover feature featuring, is that your own sheep?
Yes, it is. It is a toy sheep. A few people thought it was a real sheep that we'd bleached green, which I can't quite believe. But yeah, it actually, you'll love where that came from. It came from Pikes Hotel in Ibiza.
I've been there.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Have we? Well, I definitely remember being there a couple of times. But yeah, so they closed it down. Or when Tony Pike died, they sold off a bunch of stuff. And Frankie, my wife's sister, bought it for us because she knows we've had a few lost weekends and a few lost times out there over the years. So yeah, there's probably drugs all over it in the fold, you know, that way. It's like fucking Idris Elba's, you know, fucking stash is still in there, you know. I shouldn't say that. Idris Elba doesn't take drugs.
Oh, but yeah, for those not aware, Pikes is a legendary Ibiza hotel where they actually filmed the video for Club Tropicana by Wham.
They did so, and everybody that went over to play Ibiza Rocks for about a decade, everyone basically went to stay there. It was fucking mayhem, but it was a wonderful, wonderful time.
Any memories you can share, or is it all pretty, what happens in Pikes stays in Pikes?
Kind of a little bit of that. I just, all my memories of those kind of nights normally involve Ben running by me at some point and either top speed, either completely naked, or he's got someone in a headlock. But that's how I know when a night's going out, or he's on the roof. You know, like that's the kind of thing that Ben was always an aspirational. You would always be like partying and then think, I might be partying, but I'm not partying that hard. And you always wished you could, you know.
I guess he must be missing that side of things this summer. I mean, no Pikes. You can't recreate. Well, you can probably recreate Club Tropicana in Glasgow.
Yeah, you could try. Yeah, I've got a hot tub out the back in air. It looks amazing. It's strange, Andrew. I mean, we talked now about 5 months ago about this record for the first time, and it was coming out like a month after that. So I've kind of shut off just part of my brain for the last kind of 10 weeks. I've just kind of been getting on with other things, obviously doing little sessions and things and interviews, but I've not really engaged with the record in a proper way because it just still feels weird to me that the album's out in a week or so now. We've not played any of the songs live yet, you know, and it's this weird no man's land. I know that everyone's going through that in what they do, but it's strange. So my relationship with this record is already different than any other album. You know, I'm kind of coming back to it the last week or so, and having listened to it, it's like, it's strange. Most lyrics have changed meaning in every way imaginable, as everything has for us all. But to have created something a year ago and now already it means something completely different. and I'm not getting to live in the songs. So yeah, we miss the show aspect. I don't think it's worth rushing this shit. We've got a bigger fish to fry at the moment. I think trying to rush recreating like what a live experience is for the fans and for the bands is just, it's impossible. Like a social distancing thing, we maybe can create different experiences live for people, but we can't replicate that euphoria and that joy and that communal experience that you have, and of like looking over and you see like a stranger and you're both singing like the line of a song, and like you have this intense connection for 5 seconds, and it's, you know, it's totally on you, impinged in your brain. That's the wrong word, but it's on your brain forever, and you'll never forget that moment, but you never see that person ever again. So yeah, I think we just need to accept it's going to be quite a little while until we do get to share these moments together. But I'm glad that shows are getting booked again for next year. We just need to make sure people are safe. There's no point in bastardizing something that is so precious to so many of us just for the sake of doing it, you know, because it's a different thing. It's just a different thing. So we'll figure it out. We're going to, as soon as we can, potentially next April or something, we're going to try, or March or April, we're going to try and do a few shows. We're going to call it the Fingers Crossed Tour, and just see if it logistically we can actually go out and play shows anywhere. You know, we would love to reschedule our arena tour and everything, our European tour, for as soon as possible. But the reality is we can't book that in until we're sure it's not going to be cancelled, because, you know, it's like you'd struggle to survive off the back of something like that being cancelled. There's a few of our friends that had to cancel mid-tour and things, and the amount of drama and the impact it's had on what they do, it's heartbreaking. I mean, everyone's been impacted, don't get me wrong. It's a position of kind of entitlement I'm talking from, because I'm worrying about fucking playing shows, you know, and people are worrying about putting food on the table and stuff. But you know what? We need it as human fucking beings, Andrew. That's the thing. That's what I've realised. It's an essential and necessary part of what we are as a species, that we share things together. And that's why I know that no matter when it happens, the first show back that people have, whether it's as a fan or as a player, are going to be one of the most euphoric and joyous experiences we'll ever have in our lives. And we'll tell our kids and our grandkids about it. You know, in 50 years, people will be regaling tales of that first night at back to see fucking Wolf Alice. You know what I mean? Like it could be anyone, you know, but that first moment where you share with people again and you're loving a band, it's like that is going to be these moments, these defining moments, and I can't wait for them to happen.
But then there's also the hope that there is kind of an industry to come back to next year, that there are venues and that there are up and coming acts that want to play in these venues, and that there isn't just a big
gaping
black hole in culture and then the ladder being pulled up from above it, you know?
That's what can't happen. That, you know what, we just can't let that happen. Bands like us cannot let that happen. We need to make sure, or help to make sure as much as we can, that venues remain as unaffected as possible. Obviously, it's too late for that, because venues are completely affected. It's hard to kind of say how important that kind of area, those venues, that kind of middle ground of bands learning how to tour, or people learn how to sing, how to engage with an audience. If you remove that, you're removing a massive development part of people, and the art won't end up reaching the levels that it used to. And that's, you know, once it's gone, we can't get it back. That's what the worrying thing is. You know, we've seen it in my lifetime. I've seen the Astoria go, you know, and things like that. There's venues that I thought would never disappear that have disappeared over the years. We can't let it happen to what is the grassroots. It's like, it'd be like lifting up every single football pitch in the fucking UK so that kids couldn't play football. That would never be allowed to happen. So let's not allow it to happen to fucking bands and things and music. It is a worry, but as I say, I think it's up to our jobs and big promoters and things to really make sure that things do, that we share any kind of successes or positives we have moving forward. I think that's so important. And that's part of the reason when we go out and do our shows, first of all, we'll go to smaller venues. We want to try and, you know, in some way just engage in that level and remind people that is what music is. It's not, the arena shows doesn't define what the culture of a country is. Like the big shows, the stadium things and all that, that's not what it's about. It's further down. It's these things that you don't see. People whose lives are being changed night after night during the week in fucking Stoke and Coventry and wherever, Brighton, you know. It's like, you know, it's so important. It's so important, and it can't slip. But you're right. I mean, I'm talking about next summer. Oh, if it you know, it has to take a year off. We can't let that happen. We need to find out ways to make it sustainable. It doesn't seem like the socially distanced gig that they had last week is the way. I'm so proud of Frank to do it. Proud of the venue for doing it. We've got to listen to them. They came back. They've come to us and said, look, this is not sustainable for a venue. They had to hire more staff, less people. I think it was weird for the crowd a little bit. I think the crowd were told not to sing along, obviously for fear of droplets going out. So it's, you know, we need to keep testing it. We need to keep trying ways to do it, and we'll fail more often than we succeed. But at least if we're trying, then it gives venues an opportunity to keep going.
And other than not being able to play these songs live, I mean, what can you tell us about how your relationship to these songs has changed? A, having lived with them for much longer than you anticipated now, and B, because the song was about reaching the end point where everything's fucked and having to start again. And there have been so many instances of that, of people questioning their place in society, whether that's through COVID and people learning to live alongside one each other. And we talked once before, but back in March or whenever, when we first listened to the record, you talked about understanding your privilege as a straight white male. And now sort of the whole of society has been kind of pushed to kind of reconsider who they are and what they're doing. So
yeah.
How do you feel about these songs now that they've kind of become reality?
Yeah, I find it quite overwhelming. I think for the first couple of months of lockdown, as I said, I didn't really engage with the record. I think a bit of it was the defence mechanism, so that I didn't, because I found it quite heartbreaking that the songs weren't coming out, and I had to just kind of not exist in that sphere. When I've listened to the songs, you know, we're starting to rehearse a little bit and play them together. When I'm singing them from such a different headspace, because before it was like I was almost wanting to change. I was wanting something to come to an end. You know, it's like, here we go. Like, let's almost make something come to an end so that we can start again. Having been through this trauma of the virus and everything, it's been overwhelming for a lot of us. I think it was, looking back, it was always going to take a massive, tumultuous event for us to make the changes necessary. And I'm kind of, the one positive I'm taking out of this is how adaptable we are. We've been able to change as communities, as nations, as, you know, predominantly. I know not some people are inflexible and believe that their freedoms are more important than someone else's freedoms, but it's in a different headspace. The songs mean something completely different. It was a lot more of a kind of personal, like discovery, and a personal, like, I'm going to try and change my contributions to the world and just be aware of my place in the world, and as I said, the opportunities I have now. I'm like, it now applies on a much bigger scale, which is really, we do need to end. Obviously, we fucking want the virus to end and shit like that, but the Black Lives Matter movement's been so important, and that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't dealt with the virus, because we've all reached the point where we're going, but we're not dealing with all this shit at the same time. How these things we can change, let's fucking change. The virus is kind of out with our control. We're at its mercy. But I tell you, see all this other shit that we've just been putting up with for years. Let's fucking change that properly. And it's the perfect definition of how the end of something isn't a bad thing. We just assume the end is like, oh, sad, oh, something's ended, that's awful. We need shit things to end. We need fucking the baggage we've been carrying with us, you know, as this part of the world, in the UK specifically, we've been carrying for so long and not owning up to it and not having dialogue. And I feel like there's no way, we can't put Pandora back in the box. Or is that the right phrase? You know, we can't put things away, and we've discovered things about ourselves because of the virus that we can't undiscover either. You know, I think everyone has reevaluated what's important. We've reevaluated what productivity means, what you're trying to achieve. You know, we've been so worried at the end of the year, what have you achieved this year? What are you going to achieve next year? And it's like, how about we just try and achieve a bit of joy and a bit of happiness and a bit of, you know, fucking something that isn't something that isn't as tangible as, well, I fucking achieved a new iPhone this year. I got myself the right new iPhone. It's brilliant. And I've got, you know, it's like that stuff that we've been preoccupied with. is what has made us take our eye off the ball. This massive change gives us an opportunity to reset. If we don't take this opportunity, we're fucked. And I feel like the younger generations and things are not going to let it out their grasp. You know, I really don't think so. You know, it's I think we have an opportunity now and we owe it. And it's people like us, Andrew. You know, like that. But it is though. You know, we need to make sure it doesn't go away as well. That things are still discussed, talked about. We still, just because we've talked about the problems doesn't mean they're now fixed either. You know, like there's always work to do. But yeah, the album, it's a different beast. There's lines in this record that I just can't. I just feel spooky almost that I've written them to a certain extent. But then having said that, I've listened to a few of my favourite records from the last 10 years, and even lyrics that existed previously sound different to me. There's certain lines in some of my favourite songs that I'm like, oh fuck, you know, suddenly that has hit me in a different way because of what we're going through. Yeah.
And I was wondering, because obviously the record came to be just through that kind of natural desire for change. Have the events of the last 6 months inspired you to write again?
Yeah, I think I'm still thinking through an awful lot. I think we all are. I think everyone's still, there's been so many layers to come into terms with what we're going through at the moment. You know, everybody, there's come to terms with the reality of our lives changing, and then there's this fucking virus that's trying to kill us all, and then we've got, basically, yes, there's no doubt. I think there's no way it couldn't feed into every piece of work that anyone is making in this world right now. That it is impossible to be unaffected. And I think even if you were to try, you're probably psychotic. And if you deny that it has changed your outlook, you're probably psychotic. You know, it's affected everything. So that we've like 15 songs that didn't make the album that we're going to start recording as soon as because we're not touring. That's again the plus side of that is we can go straight in and make music. Now I will definitely rewrite those lyrics. You know, the songs that don't make the album, I don't quite tweak the lyrics the same way, so I don't kind of hone in and kind of do drafts. You know, that way the next you kind of any kind of writing, you sort of ding with any kind of writing, you hone it. You know, I'm sure you're the same. You revisit. So I will definitely rewrite all those records. All those songs. I would never go back and rewrite lyrics before, but now I'm like, no. I definitely have even more to say now, and I'm not going to apologise. I think we all have a lot to say. I think this year is the turning point for many reasons. You know, American elections so important in terms of where the world goes in terms of environment and everything, and even this virus. If we're going to try and defeat, not that you can defeat a fucking virus, but if we're going to try and at least get it under control, there needs to be massive changes.
Yeah. No. Do you still are you riding a wave of optimism that all this change will be possible and people are open to? Because it even seems like people are just waking up to the fact now that Twitter is poisonous and just a cesspit of nonsense.
We know we're not, that's the thing. I think it takes time. That we've all been slammed into this weird, awful situation, and it does take time to reevaluate. Because, as I say, there is the layers of it, but people now seem to appreciate Twitter. All right, aye, such and such, fucking. Oh, I said that, and everyone's pounced on me. People are more aware, and I think we're learning that all it is a tool. It's just a place to put some fucking opinions on. It's like it can be so useful in communicating, and points it has been absolutely essential for people in certain parts of the world to get the word out. But see, when it's just a bunch of folk dropping fucking opinions, I'm really pleased that we know the difference. We can tell the difference between people who are engaging on Twitter in a sincere way, in a way trying to provoke change and actually try and be not creative but effective in some manner, and the people who are just there to like stick their thumb in the fucking cake, you know what I mean? And actually I think we're a lot savvier now, most people, about knowing the difference and not taking, almost not taking to heart some of these fucking morons what they say, because that's all they want. And actually I think it's good for our souls to recognise that there is poison everywhere. You know, there is. We just got to be aware of it and just try and avoid it. But yeah, I mean, it seems strange that it took us 13 years to realise that Twitter is basically a place for, you know, it's got so much positives, but empty vessels make the most fucking noise. So of course, on Twitter, the same rules that apply in a fucking pub or a youth club or something, or a fucking gig, the same rules apply. It's the biggest wankers are the ones that come sweeping in and go, no, here's the absolute truth, absolute this and that. And anyone that gives you absolutes about anything is a fucking idiot. But it's really hard to engage with people like that on Twitter. And I think we've at least recognised that, well, that's your fucking opinion. Go and have it, but we can actually live in the real world and actually try and make things happen.
Yeah, it's a hard one to balance, because like the lyric on the record about the grey man's curse, about how people do need to be heard, and we can't complacently just let shit things pass you by. But by the same measure, I think people should probably be a bit more informed before I think that there should become a trend of going, I'm not going to say I have an opinion because I don't actually know what I'm talking about right now. Yes,
like we're so impulsive. We've been kind of trained that our emotional reaction to something is a reaction. That's not, like, it's a classic take fucking 3 deep breaths before you react to something. Like, get a bit more informed. And this is from my perspective as well. I try and, as grim as it is and as sad as it is, I try and like watch little bits of Fox News and shit, listen to little bits of LBC and stuff, and it's to kind of try and figure out what the fuck's going on. Where's this massive disconnect? But it needs to be discussed. It needs to be talked about, Andrew. You know, if we can't just go about our merry business, you know, and that's what I think is happening now. And I do think this is going to be a positive year when people look back, say in 2080. People are going to look back and think 2020 was the year where this century kicked in and actually common sense arrived. And actually, the sad thing is it's not even politics and shit we're talking about. It's just decency. You know, I mean, I think I've said that in every kind of time I've chatted to you, but it just feels like it's just levels of decency now. And just like, you know, what do you want the next generation to have? Let's give them something to work for, at least something to potentially try and achieve, rather than everything's dead on arrival. You know what I mean? No, you can't get a job. No point in studying because there's nothing there at the end. No, you don't have any opportunity. There'll be no money. There's no money. There's no houses. You know, it's like fucking hell, you know, does my head in.
And so I don't attract the vitriol of some Aggie, well, I was going to say Aggie Biffy fans, but I don't think there's such a thing exists. We don't,
sweetest people going, man.
So we don't create Aggie Biffy fans.
Yes.
Tell us about this new record you've got in your back pocket.
A celebration of endings, I presume, or the next one?
The next one.
All right. Well, the next one is going to be, we've got like 15 songs. Some of them I wrote with my friends in their studio. So a couple were like right electronic. There's a few that are just big. We've got this fucking song called Slurpy Slurpy Sleep Sleep. And it's one of the best. It was one of Ben's drum rhythms, and it's one of these grooves that you could just listen to fucking all night. It just makes me feel so good. So there'll be a different aim with that record. I think in that record, I want it to be a bit more sprawling, a little bit less songy, if you know what I mean. Like ironically, I have a feeling that this record will end up sounding more like a movie soundtrack than Balance Not Symmetry. But yeah, there'll be 15 songs in that, I imagine, and again, it's just so important to me when we finish a record, especially just now, to clear the decks so that when we start thinking about the next project properly, it's like I want to be forced somewhere new, and we've done that right from the start, and I think that's what hopefully makes us find these kind of slightly new areas to inhabit, because if you don't have any fucking songs hanging over, it's like quite an insurance policy. If you're like, listen, we've got a couple of good songs but the irony is a couple of good songs that didn't make the last album. You know, like that's not a conversation. The amount of bands I've seen, like, oh yeah, we've had this song for 5 years, and it's like, what, didn't make your last 3 records and it's finally good enough now? You know, like, what a crock of shit. Put your neck in the line, man. Put your neck in the line.
So you haven't got any like 2000, you're not going to do a Radiohead and ring back, hey, here's this song we've been teasing you with for the last 50 fucking years.
No, definitely not. These are all brand spankers, man. These are brand spankers. No one's heard these, dude.
And they're just like weird as fuck.
No, not all weird. Just in terms of the kind of rhythms and things and the way the songs kind of fall in. You know, because part of it with the second wave of songs are the songs that don't make the album. I don't quite work on them as much, so they have this kind of slightly less shape to them, which I try and keep. You know, like I don't want to knuckle down into these the way I did with the songs that were a celebration of endings. You know, like I'm going to change the lyrics, as I said earlier, but musically I quite like it being a little bit unsure of itself. You know, and kind of not taking it to its logical conclusion. Whereas when working on an album like Celebration, it's like, oh, this needs to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And whereas we kind of like take it at face level for the face value for these kind of songs. So it's a liberating, after working on a record in LA, when you get record company involved, you get, a lot of money invested in shit. Sorry to sound boring and completely unromantic about it. There's a machine behind that. There's videos, there's singles. Going in to do something like this, it's pure creative spaff. And I wish I'd chosen a better word than spaff. But it's pure joy. It's pure like the opposite of being conscious about it. You're not playing it to anyone at the end of the day. You're not sitting listening to mixes going. It's pure joy. And I love that before starting a new batch of songs, writing new songs, because it just reminds you how joyful and simple music is. It can become complex at certain points in your career, but really it shouldn't be. The actual act of the music should be as simple as it's always been.
So you're just following a feeling rather than like trying to write a big single, eh?
Exactly. And to be honest, when we release a big album on Warner's, they do ask, do you have single? Like they want to hear the single. That's just the reality of living in the major label world. But I like to think that we balance it just in that right way. Of where we write big tunes anyway, so we'll keep them for the main album, and then the other ones that maybe take us somewhere else, we would keep for the kind of B-sides record, for want of a better word.
Another thing that I need to push a little bit further so I don't create a monster among the Biffy community. Did you get to finish the Marmaduke Duke record?
Still got 3 songs to go, Andrew. I was when I was talking to you about that, I was so expecting to get round to my friend's studio, but I haven't even been to see him yet. But it is coming. There's no doubt by the end of this year, I'm going to have those 4 records done. So it's going to be fucking happening, man. But yeah, no, I haven't had time. I've re-engaged with the Biffy record after feeling a little better, after being a bit upset about it being postponed and shit. So I'm in total Biffy zone at the moment, but once we get this few weeks activity, we'll go in and record the Biffy stuff, and then I'll move on to Duke. Biffy always comes first, I have to say. That's always my priority.
And do you think it'll be Marmaduke at Eurovision 2021?
Fucking better be, man. Better be. Everyone thinks I'm joking about that. It was when we made the second record, we were on Warner's, and we just want to promote the fucking record in the weirdest way possible. And I just had my epiphany about Eurovision a few years earlier. So that's one of my dreams. That's one of my dreams, to try and get in that, Andrew.
I think so. I think Je suis and Funky Home would have gone down well in the French-speaking countries.
You know what I'm saying, man. You know what I'm saying. And yeah, exactly. We'll get the French, and then Ich habe ein großes Schwitzen, or Du hast ein großes Schwitzen, you have a big sweat. So French, Germany, fucking UK, man. We nailed it.
Travel the globe in one song.
I know if we'd went on, actually, I would need to get Finland in there, Greece, Italy. It could be a beast.
And maybe by the time you get around to it, Scotland would have separated from the UK, and you actually stand a fucking chance,
Exactly, yeah. Because I don't think they might not hate us quite so much if we're not part of the UK.
They love Everyone loves Scottish and Welsh people, and just being English, man. Do you have a Scottish passport that you flash, and they're like, go on then, come on.
Yeah, well, I would say, did you know that Scotland's national animal is a unicorn?
Fuck, that's awesome.
It's on the passport. It'll be on your passport as well. There's like a lion, a unicorn for Scotland, a dragon.
Never questioned that.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. So yeah, we believe, we dream. Yeah,
you've got that. Wales has got a fucking dragon. Wales will probably be a fucking Yorkshire pudding when. So you got Celebration of Endings. Second record, which you won't call a sister record. It's just another record.
Well, no, it will be a sister record. It's definitely a sister record, and that will be called something like a commemoration of commiserations or something like that. And then we've got the Marmaduke Duke record, Death of the Duke. Then I've got Tippy Toes, which is a drone project, which is just Mongageddon. That will just be like, take some Valium and just chill out. And then a grindcore extreme metal record called Empire State Bastard. And honestly, it's the one thing could get me through not touring is the fact that I can think about going and just making music for the rest of the year. Once the new year starts, I think I'll probably be a little bit more on edge and feel like I need to get out there. But actually, I'm just kind of trying to focus on what I can do at the moment, and creating music's one of that brings me joy, still brings me joy. So that's what I want to do.
So during lockdown, when everyone was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna get really good at Animal Crossing or bake some banana bread," you were just doing everything else.
Well, trying. Actually, one of my, you'll laugh at this, I've been trying to learn how to sing Nessun Dorma. Because I heard, right, so Nessun Dorma was Pavarotti's song. I'm not even sure what fucking opera it's from. It's a beautiful song. There was lots of like programs on at the start of lockdown about like there was a certain World Cup where that was the theme song, and I kept hearing this song, and it grew on me, and I'm just like, this is the most beautiful piece of music I've ever heard. And I've always fancied myself that I have like the tone. If I wanted to, I think I could get that bellow. So I've given myself a challenge to the end of the year to try and be able to sing Nessun Dorma in style, Pavarotti style, top to bottom, without looking at the lyrics and everything. So that's but bizarrely, that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'm just on YouTube trying to get shit going, but it's a weird challenge, but I quite like putting myself in these awkward positions and just thinking, I should never be doing that. That's what I'm going to do.
That's the Biffy way, man. Like we said, the thought bubble with the exclamation mark and the question mark. Like
exactly. It's
he's gone opera. Yeah, fine, cool. What?
I think I've got it in me, man. I'm telling you, I probably shouldn't have mentioned it, but I'm really excited about it. Again, it's just being creative in that. It's all about finding new things to do. You know, I don't just ever want to do the same shit. And we're all at that as humans. We, you know, there's things we love, but even if you love something, you do it 100 times and it can feel old. Every time between records, I want to do something that's kind of fucked up, off the wall to them. So then when I come back to the Biffy thing, I'm just as madly in love with it as I always was. You know, some bands and artists and musicians freak me out because they don't maybe go and do other things, and I quite often wonder, you know, whether it's a fear thing or whether it's just they're quite happy just, you know, doing this one thing, or you know, it's a fear of doing something badly, or I don't know. But you know, I like artists that always put their kind of necks in the line and try weird shit, and if it fails, so be it. But you've got to be trying. Which, Simon, is a beautiful note to end on, man. Do you want to sing us out with a bit of Nessun Dorma? Nessun Dorma. Nessun Dorma. I don't want to give away too much, Andrew. That's the chorus, dude. Amazing. I promise next time I speak to you, I'll have more of it down. I don't want to embarrass myself. Yeah, I'll do one of the other tenors, man. How many? What, there were 4. Right? There was 3. Oh shit! I'll be the laziest tenor. I'll be fine. So download next year. All 4 bands and an opera. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know. I've made a huge rod for my own back today, but fuck it. You know what? I'm not doing anything else. I'm talking about this record. Can't wait to get this record out, and then hopefully people will get to know that while I'm finishing up the other stuff. But you know what? It's like it's the only thing I've got control over at the moment, Andrew. And I think there's a security in feeling that I can control my creative output, if nothing else. Simon, thank you so much for your time, mate. I'll shake your hand. What a pleasure, Andrew. As always, so great to see you, brother. Hopefully see you physically in less weird times. Oh, I hope so, man. Can't wait. You look after yourself, though. Appreciate it a lot. Cheers.